What is up, guys? What is going on? It's Brian here. And tonight I wanted to hop on and make a video about how to have a long term relationship and relationships as it relates to the red pill. So I feel like the timing for this type of video is much needed right now. And I hope that what we discuss resonates with you guys. So let's get into it. As far as I'm concerned, relationships are super important. I read a study one time about Harvard University conducting something called the Grant Study, which tracked two groups of men from college all the way up until their 80s. And the aim of this study was to investigate the factors that led to a happy and fulfilling life for men. And what they ended up finding was that the most crucial predictor for happiness and fulfillment was determined by the quality of the romantic partner that they chose and who they ended up with. So obviously, we can't avoid the fact that relationships are important. And what this study means, in my mind, is that it's essentially the most important decision of your life is who you end up with. And that's why I wanted to go over this because I think right now in the whole manosphere and in the red pill space, men are going their own way, and there's a bigger and bigger divide between men and women. And I think some of this knowledge needs to kind of be brought to the forefront. So let's talk about real quick relationships as it relates to the red pill, because I think that there's a problem. And I think the problem from my perspective is that the red pill the red pill is a philosophy, okay? The red pill is not a theory. So what I mean by this is that this is where guys are fucking it up, right? What I mean by this is that philosophy speaks broadly it seeks to question the nature of reality in a broad type of way. That's what philosophy is. So where a theory is going to seek to establish a set of principles and guidelines for a specific topic. So let me give you an example. There's red pills for dating. Everybody thinks that the red pill relates to dating only, but that's not the case. So there's also red pills for finance, for government, for health. Just take the Federal Reserve, for example. Aren't there some red pills to take with how money works and how the financial system is operating? Or what about like with health, the World Health Organization and the FDA? Like, aren't there some red pills and some harsh truths about things like the masking or COVID or whatever it is that your theory is? But think of also, aren't there hidden truths as far as like the government and stuff like that? We can agree that there's people that are red pilled in this area as well. So the red pill doesn't just relate to relationships; it relates to pretty much everything. And what being red pilled is a philosophy, and it's a way of life of just being objectively truth seeking. It's seeking the truth where we've been accepting comforting lies. Now, where guys are really, in my opinion, getting it wrong or fucking it up is that they're seeing the red pill as like a theory or like a guideline, and then they start getting trapped into this like all or nothing thinking based off a set of rules that were created by the red pill. So this is how men end up like hating women or being jaded and never trusting women, and men going their own way, and basically guys having this outlook on relationships like it's never going to work. I'm always going to get cheated on. She's always going to leave for the next best guy. Whereas with the red pill, you want to objectively seek the truth, but there's never a theory because the theory would need to be proven over and over again. And if there's exceptions to the rule, then it's not always necessarily true. And this is where guys are getting it wrong. So it's going to harm a lot of guys' long-term life fulfillment, especially if they think that relationships don't work forever. And you can be red pilled and you can still find love, get a girlfriend, and have a happy and monogamous relationship like a lot of other guys do. And what it comes down to, and I'll discuss how you can do it, is what's known as the three phases of relationship readiness. And I want to give a shout out to Dr. I don't know if it's doctor, but it's David TN PhD. He's another coach and life coach that's out there. and he's the one that exposed this information to me. So I want to give credit to him. So, how do you enter into a red pilled relationship or just a long term relationship in general? There's three phases, okay? So, phase one is the I want or I wish that I had a girlfriend phase. And this is where I was for the majority of my life. And this is where most guys are in their current situation. So, this phase is marked by wanting a relationship prior to knowing who the relationship would even be with in the first place. Okay. So this is because you want a girlfriend. Your thinking is that because there's this void or dissatisfaction in your life, you're not currently happy, you think a relationship is the missing link. But actually what didn't occur to me, and what maybe it doesn't occur to most guys, is that this is the first phase. You're like a level 1 not ready for a relationship. This indicates codependence and a high level of neediness. So this is actually the phase where you're going to be the least ready or likely to enter into a successful relationship. If you get into a relationship here on this phase one, it's most likely to fail because you're not emotionally self reliant quite yet. You're needy. You're seeking something outside of your current circumstances to fulfill your needs. So, in my previous experiences, I can attest to this being 100% true because it leads to a lowering of your standards and a lack of your boundaries. I mean, think about it. Like, if you need a relationship to make yourself happy or to fill a void, then you're going to go along with a bunch of different things that you're not necessarily on board with. And this is for me what led to making all kinds of really stupid decisions in my life. So the problem with this phase is that there's little to no time or consideration taking upon entering into a relationship. So I mean, I don't even like want to get into the details of the types of girls that I dated, but like to be honest, let's just say that my picker was off. And that's that pattern that I noticed is the women that I was choosing like out of a needy place were terrible fucking options to begin with. So this is bad. Okay? Let's relate it back to your long-term fulfillment being tied to who you end up with. You don't want to enter into a relationship here. You typically have 0 to 1 maybe dating options to choose from in this place. Basically, you're a guy that's at ground zero. So in phase 2, what phase 2 is I could go with or without a relationship. And this phase 2 is marked by a bit of indifference. Like you could kind of take it or leave it in terms of a relationship. But this phase, you're more ready than phase 1, but you're still less ready than phase 3. You're still needy. You still don't really have a highly fulfilling or abundant life yet. And this is the phase where you're probably most likely to unconsciously or accidentally settle in terms of your boundaries and your standards upon entering into some kind of relationship. And you're probably going to put in still a mediocre amount of time and consideration about who you select because you're still not being as picky as you could be in phase 3. So you're not your most attractive self yet in this phase either. You're you're entering into a relationship which is typically going to be due to some type of lack of delayed gratification. You might have 1 to maybe 3 dating options in this phase, but you're still jumping the gun a little bit too soon. And then there's phase 3. And phase 3 is the I do not want a relationship phase. And this was the phase exactly where I was prior to entering into my current relationship. And I'd never done that before. I'd never been there before. This phase is marked completely by abundance. You've got a colorful life. You've got a you've got so many friends and so many interesting things that are going on and so many dating prospects that entering into a relationship almost comes across as a step backwards. So this will be the phase where you're actually counterintuitively the most ready for a relationship and will end up being the healthiest place to come from when entering into a relationship. And it's because when you love your life the way that it currently is, you're most likely to enter into a relationship only on the conditions that you meet somebody really special or really rare to find. Because think about it, you'd be sacrificing a lifestyle that you currently enjoy very much. It makes the decision harder. And because it's harder, you're going to put an immense amount of time and consideration prior to entering into a relationship. Or in my situation, it was an entire year before I made that decision with one person that was wanting to be with me for that amount of time. And that was something that was completely new to me. I'd never considered the idea that not wanting a relationship would be the place where you're best off to enter into one. So in this phase three, you're gonna have multiple high quality dating options to choose from. Um, you're coming from a place of not needing a relationship, which will mean that when you enter into it, and this is the most important part, and this is where you could call it the red pilled part, is that it's completely and utterly on on your own terms. So the woman must be completely on board with your goals, your purpose, and your mission in life. Her level of attraction and her level of interest must be a level 10 out of 10. Otherwise, you would not even consider it as an option. And you must see a clear path forward where she can add value to your goals. And from there, you are setting the foundation for a relationship to be successful. And that's how you can take principles that we learn from relationship dynamics, male female dynamics, red pill theories, philosophies, whatever you want to call it, and it is possible. So, in conclusion, here, this would be how you would enter and can enter into a red pilled relationship and maintain the attraction, but also just ensure that you're selecting the best partner. Because, again, going back to that study, who you choose to be with is going to be the greatest predictor of your long term success and fulfillment in life. And of course, none of this stuff guarantees any success. It doesn't promise lasting love or somehow um, create a magic formula where everything's going to be fine and dandy. I'm still personally exploring the world of love and relationships myself after having learned all of these different principles that I teach in my course and over the last couple of years after two really bad, unsuccessful relationships. But that that doesn't mean that I have the answers or that this is the end all be all, but we can at least probably agree on the fact that this would be a very clear and defined place to start. This would be a very good place to begin. So I hope that helps. Let me know if this is something that resonates with you down in the comments. And if you feel so inclined, leave a comment on what type of video or topic I should discuss on this channel next.